More than 1,200 Manitobans are trying to get their bank accounts straightened out after a debit card skimming scam. To learn more about skimming and how to avoid it, we're joined by Michael Legary of Seccuris. Thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Absolutely.
Okay, what is skimming? How does this work?
Skimming comes from the term of the little mag stripe, the black stripe in the back of your card.
Okay.
When you slide it through the card reader, that's originally what skimming was all about. Nowadays, it's reading that or any form of the electronic media on the card and the PIN. So it's all those mechanisms now is what skimming's all about.
Everything combined. Now, I know before there was a lot of talk of just the standalone ATM machines that are not associated with banks as being the most vulnerable. Is it affecting now banks themselves?
It can impact any type of technology, be it an ATM, a wireless reader, the little mobile ATM at the 7-Eleven bank account convenience store kind of thing. And the issue is that the technology, the hardware, the reader and the PIN capturing device, the keypad, can be replicated, copied, and tapped into very easily. So this is something that it's a technology problem that's been around for some time, and it's just getting worse.
Okay, so even those small little handheld devices are just as susceptible.
Yeah, so again, what happens is that the little reader, somebody can put in a secondary skimmer, a secondary reader. So when the card gets swiped through, it not reads just for the machine, but reads and gets stored secondary as a backup locally, or they send it to a phone or remote storage. So literally the little keypad element and the little reader element can be hidden in any kind of device, modified into an existing one, or they can stick them on top of an ATM they already have access to.
So how easy is it to install?
Unfortunately, it's getting very easy now. Back in the 80s, you'd have to, as a new ATM came about, you'd have to custom manufacture a keypad that looked the same and it had to fit,
right,
or the reader that looked the same and had to fit. Nowadays, it's very easy to manufacture these things and order them online. So to become a criminal, it's becoming much easier, and they're just simply sticking it on, and many folks don't notice. If you don't go to the ATM every day, when it just looks slightly out of place, you may not realize that that's a skimmer on top.
Okay, good to know. Now, there's a difference between credit cards and debit cards, correct?
Yes, the technology is slightly different, and the networks supporting them are different. So the way the security systems work is slightly different, but fundamentally the technologies have the same weaknesses. Chip and PIN on the credit cards, which is more popular now, is a little bit better security. Debit cards, unfortunately, don't have chip and PIN consistently being used throughout North America right now.
Right.
So it's just a little bit more vulnerable than the credit cards. But that's not to say the credit cards are much better, just a little bit better.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's have some tips to help us avoid having our cards skimmed in the first place.
Absolutely. The best way is start treating your debit cards and your credit cards the same. If you're going to use them on online purchases, or you're going to use them physically in a place you don't necessarily go on a regular basis, have a debit card specifically for those activities. Don't have your banking, your savings, your spouse's accounts, everything linked.
Okay.
Have one card with one account and use that for those transactions. So if something does happen, they clean out only one account. They don't get access to all your banking information.
Okay.
So that's critical. Next one is change your PIN. Change your PIN, if you changed your PIN 3 times a year, you'd be doing way more than the average person. Most folks, unfortunately, keep the same PIN for 5 or 6 years across many cards. So if you're that person, you're smiling right now, change that PIN.
All right.
So 2 or 3 times I recommend.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so a lot of information, a lot of great tips and advice. Thank you so much for sharing all this morning.
Absolutely.
Okay, and it's time for us to take a quick break. When we come back, Let's Celebrate is on the way.